have to go.
CJ.
I'm so sorry.
I was in the middle of ordering.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesday on Fox.
Talk about a crazy day. I experienced all three of my emotions, including horny.
And I reset the thermostat back to 62.
And I've accepted that I'm the second youngest. It's like being the middle child of the office. Not that anyone's paying attention to me anymore.
And I've got a ton of paperwork to do in these cold cases. I solved 143 murders today. That makes me #1 on the leaderboard.
Hold on, we both found that volcano.
Technically, Otis found it first.
How dare you take his side? You know who my father is? Ah!
Bento.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Hundreds of Democrat delegates gathered in Bangor yesterday and nominated Troy Jackson as the party's U.S. Senate pick. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. For Fox 22 News at 10, I'm Doug Banks. The landslide decision comes weeks after former Senate candidate Graham Plattner withdrew his campaign amid a swarm of allegations against him. Our Callie Warren leads us off tonight.
And Troy Jackson is officially certified as the Democratic Party's
in a landslide vote, former state Senate President Troy Jackson is now Maine's Democratic U.S. Senate nominee.
Well, thank you, Maine. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
The clinch comes after primary winner Graham Plattner withdrew his campaign earlier in the month. With just over 3 months left in the campaign season, Jackson says he feels confident to gain voter support by November.
I am not for the billionaire class. I'm for the everyday working class.
And to defeat incumbent Susan Collins.
I think that people should vote for me because I'm going to fight for them. I don't care about the party system. I mean, I'll push back against Democrats. I have in the Maine legislature. I'll push back against Republicans. I mean, it's about the issues.
Some delegates say losing Plattner was a tough blow, but they're putting their faith behind Jackson.
Seeing what has occurred has been heartbreaking, but I don't believe Susan Collins is. I don't believe she's going to win this. I say that because Troy Jackson has inherited a lot of that infrastructure. We're seeing a lot more strength among unions and other volunteers.
It has definitely been an all eyes on Maine situation. If everyone is paying attention to a state that has a population that's like a fifth the size of the island of Manhattan, right? Clearly, this matters, not just to us here in the state, but to people outside of Maine.
Jackson now has around 14 weeks to campaign before Mainers cast their ballots.
I mean, it really is about the billionaires and the everyday working class people in this fight, and I'm going to stand with the workers, the everyday people, every day of the week.
In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, Senator Susan Collins' campaign issued a statement yesterday in response to Troy Jackson being appointed the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate. Spokesperson Sean Roderick said in part, quote, "Our campaign will continue to run on Senator Collins' bipartisan record of delivering results for Maine and America, which will stand in stark contrast to Troy's low-energy campaign and his partisan record of driving up costs, hurting our schools, and making life less affordable for families across the state," end quote. In other news here tonight, investigators with the State Fire Marshal's Office have been requested to examine a structure fire in Oakland. The fire occurred today at around 1 a.m. on Libby Hill Road. Authorities say their initial investigation indicates the fire originated in a juvenile's bedroom, causing damage to the home's second floor. 5 children and 2 adults were inside at the time of the fire, but authorities say no injuries were reported. The investigation remains ongoing. Investigators have ruled a structure fire in a small Aroostook County town as accidental. According to the State Fire Marshal's Office, it occurred just before 7 p.m. this past Wednesday on Albert Street in Eagle Lake. Authorities say the fire originated in the kitchen area, specifically in the area around the kitchen stove. That fire has been ruled accidental and no injuries were reported. Route 182 in Hancock was closed on Friday due to a fatal crash. The incident occurred at around 3:44 p.m. According to the Hancock County Sheriff's Office, the initial investigation indicates that 32-year-old Tyler Gray of Franklin was operating his motorcycle northbound on Route 182. Sedan driver Harold Moore of Mariahville began making a left-hand turn onto the same road when the two vehicles collided. Gray was pronounced deceased from his injuries. Moore and his 2 passengers were uninjured. The investigation remains ongoing. The closing of hospital labor and delivery units has reached a crisis level here in the state of Maine, with 9 maternity units closing in just the last few years. For expectant mothers, it means longer drives to see an OBGYN and longer drives to give birth. Now Maine Health is considering closing another birthing unit, this one in Damariscotta. But as Brad Rogers reports, families in Lincoln County aren't giving up without a fight.
Hi. When 8-month-old Veda was born in November, it was a more risky breech delivery.
By the time I got to the hospital, I had 2 feet coming out of me. So we almost didn't make it to that hospital.
Veda's mom, Leah Hurwitz, told us that Lincoln Hospital closed its maternity unit. She would have never made it to the next closest one, 45 minutes away. She says it's imperative to keep Lincoln Hospital's Miles Campus Birthing Center open.
You can't close this. Women and babies will die. Veda would have died if we didn't have this service.
The stakes are high for Maine's kids.
In Damariscotta today, Democratic candidate for governor Hannah Pingree said if elected, she'll call for a 1-year moratorium on labor and delivery closures.
I am calling on the Maine Health Board. Do not close the labor and delivery unit at Lincoln Hospital.
Pingree also plans to convene a maternity care summit to find solutions to reopen birthing centers in Maine.
Having a safe place to deliver your baby close to your own community should be something that every Maine family can count on.
Maine Health did an assessment of its birthing center here at Lincoln Hospital and found that while births are actually on the rise in this county, labor and delivery recruitment continues to be an ongoing problem.
If schools struggled to recruit teachers, we wouldn't close the classrooms. We would ask a different question. How do we solve the problem? In the last 10 years, rural Maine hospitals have closed 12 labor and delivery units. Families in Lincoln County are urging Maine Health not to close another one. In the next 2 weeks, the Board of Maine Health will decide whether to close the labor and delivery unit here at Lincoln Hospital. Parents in this county are asking the board to delay that vote.
They are being held accountable by nobody but themselves. They can just close the labor and delivery unit. We're just asking for a fighting chance. This does not have to happen. There are staffing solutions.
Women need to give birth close to home.
And that was Brad Rogers reporting. To transportation news now, the state of Maine has ended its fiscal year with a general fund surplus of more than $148 million. According to state law, when year-end revenues exceed projections and result in an unappropriated general fund surplus, those funds are transferred to other accounts in order of priority through a process known as Cascade. This year, $115 million will be distributed to the Highway Fund. Maine DOT Commissioner Dale Doughty said in part, quote, "While these will go a long way to fulfilling Maine's much-needed capital need this year, Maine DOT will continue to encourage to implement a long-term solution to this perpetual issue in the years ahead." End quote. To southern Maine now, the city of Portland is trying out new ways to make streets safer. This summer, Portland is testing curb extensions, flexible traffic posts, and speed bumps. It's an effort to make roads safer for pedestrians and drivers before committing to any permanent changes. Most of the installations took place this weekend, as well as a mural that was painted by a local artist on Dana Street.
GPCOG and the City of Portland are both focused on Vision Zero, which is to eliminate pedestrian traffic fatalities across the region, and making crosswalks more visible is a huge part of that, as well as just making the streets slower and less chaotic for all users.
Their Vision Zero plan hopes to eliminate all traffic-related deaths and injuries by 2045. Construction on the Taconic Bridge has finished 3 months ahead of schedule after 3 years of work. The bridge connecting Waterville and Winslow has been under construction since March of 2023 and reopened to two-way traffic back in June. Traffic was rerouted to Carter Memorial Bridge during the closing. Joseph's Market in Waterville, which is half a mile from the Taconic Bridge, says that the detour slowed business and discouraged frequent customers.
I think a lot of people didn't want to come all the way around crossing the other bridge. We'd hear it quite a bit. Oh, I'd come to your store, but it's just too difficult to get to you. But when the bridge is open, we'll come back. So yeah, it did affect us. I mean, now the bridge is open, so much more busier.
The $52.8 million project finished 3 months prior to the expected date of September, just in time for construction on the Carter Memorial Bridge to begin at the end of this month. In other news here tonight, today, more than 80 farms across Maine invited visitors to discover the people, products, and places that make Maine agriculture unique during the 37th annual Maine Open Farm Day. The tradition is hosted by Real Maine, a Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry program. Our Grace Blanchard has the story.
Today is Maine Open Farm Day, where farms all across the state open their gates and let people come in and get in touch with agriculture and get to see the inner workings of a farm.
For more than 3 decades, Open Farm Day has connected visitors with authentic farm experiences throughout Maine. The co-owner of Truergy Family Orchards in Levant says they strive to fulfill that mission every day.
We haven't had a lot of rain this summer. Most people are like, this is great, we're enjoying Maine summer. But as farmers, that means we need to get some water onto those plants so they grow well. So it's nice for people to be here so they can know what actually goes in behind the scenes for growing their food and taking care of the livestock.
This weekend, the farm opened its latest corn maze, an attraction voted best in the country for the past 4 years.
We chose to honor the nation's 250th birthday with a Statue of Liberty themed corn maze this year. So we were really excited to do something that honors this milestone for America.
Whether people come for the corn maze, food, or the animals, Kennerson says they hope to showcase the care and effort that goes into producing quality Maine farm products.
There's a lot that goes into it, and I think just knowing that we're putting that kind of care into that experience, it's nice for people to see behind the curtain and see what goes into that. Because we really want to have a relationship with our customers and get them to see what goes into that.
In Levant, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And by the way, Grace did make it out of the corn maze eventually, so everything turned out pretty all right there. All right, folks, let's turn things over to Devin Biggs, who's in now with the first look at your forecast. Devin?
Hey Doug, happy Sunday night. It's been a quiet one around here today, and even this evening a little bit of development further off towards the north and west, but overall for us it's been pretty quiet. We've had high pressure. The thing for our quiet weather is everything has been going around us as we zoom things out. A little bit of activity over the Atlantic Ocean, other areas seeing some showers and even some thunderstorms, but we're going to stay quiet for just a little while longer before we welcome in some more showers and even some thunderstorms. So for tonight, we have upper 40s, mostly clear, with the wind overall looking nice and calm. Here's your hourly forecast overnight. We're staying clear out there with temperatures in the upper 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Doug?
Good to know, Devin. Thank you for that report. We'll see you later on the broadcast. Folks, after the break, we'll take a look outside to save some national headlines. But coming up in local news, a city pool may be closed for the summer while officials try to figure out why it keeps leaking. And in the town of Trenton, a part of Route 3 was dedicated to a late Hancock County deputy. Those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called, she cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $750 customer cash on the purchase of a new 2026 Sportage.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer.
And some call me the King.
There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. To national headlines now. Speculation is mounting on why the U.S. paused its attacks on Iran, with no signs of peace talks between the two sides. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more from the White House.
It remains to be seen whether this is an actual inflection point in the war. We have been here before where we'd see the fighting stop only for it to pick back up again. But this pause comes as the New York Times reports there are concerns that an escalation would further deplete the Pentagon's stockpile of interceptors and munitions. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz is dismissing the reports, saying the U.S. remains locked and loaded.
Well, he has a number of escalation options, whether that is infrastructure, power that is powering the IRGC and their war economy. And I won't take any options off the table here for the president, but I can tell you, and I just spoke with our great Secretary Hegseth, all of those options are on the table. We have everything we need to conduct this campaign. And this is because of the investments President Trump made right out the gate in our military. We inherited a difficult situation with many of our munitions having been given over in Ukraine, a lot of them expended in the Houthis, but we are rebuilding with cheaper, faster, more technologically capable as we are conducting this campaign. And so there should be no doubt that the military has what it's needed and is moving even more assets into the region.
Today, Axios is out with another report saying that the president had been leaning towards major combat operations. He reportedly pumped the brakes on Friday after meeting with top military advisors. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper said the bombing campaign had, quote, reached the limit of its effectiveness. The president has continually said the U.S. has degraded Iran's nuclear, missile, and naval capabilities, so Iran has refused to back down. Earlier this week, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, told lawmakers this.
I think academically, as you look across the totality of history, air power's got limits, and we always have to be mindful of those. I think where America's area of exclusivity is when we bring the totality of the diplomatic, informational, economic, and pair that with the military, and there's a lot of that work going on.
Iran and Oman have held negotiations in Tehran over the last few days. The conversations reportedly revolved mainly around the Strait of Hormuz. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry says there was tangible progress made, but that the talks are continuing. At the White House, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said on Friday it has logged more than 2,300 cases of measles, surpassing last year's record. Major outbreaks in South Carolina, Utah, and Arizona have contributed to the rise. Experts say the actual spread might be greater due to underreporting and declining vaccination rates. For example, experts relying on mathematical modeling and genetic analysis believe a large outbreak on the Utah-Arizona border could be around 3 to 4 times bigger than the official count. To Capitol Hill now, Congress passed an avalanche of measures dealing with government funding, paying for the war in Iran, the Save America Act, and even banning lawmakers from trading stocks. But that doesn't mean any of it is close to becoming law. Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram has the latest on Capitol Hill.
Let's start with avoiding a government shutdown. The House okayed a plan to run the government until December 4th, but it needs 60 votes to break a filibuster. The funding deadline is October 1st, so avoiding a shutdown is far from certain. They need Democrats to bust that filibuster, but so far Democrats aren't budging. Senate Majority Leader John Thune may bypass Democrats using a filibuster-proof method, but that may be a tactic compelling Democrats to come to the table. House Republicans did approve various versions of the Save America Act. They attached it to the annual defense policy bill and intend to latch it to an eventual budget plan. But the Senate lacks the votes to approve the Save America Act, so its adoption is doubtful for now. Then we have a bill banning House members from trading stocks. However, the Senate has little appetite for that. Glued to that bill is a mandate for voter ID. Even that could be a poison pill in the Senate. Finally, there are 2 efforts to fund the Pentagon and pay for the conflict in Iran. There's the defense policy bill, which Senate Democrats recently blocked, and the framework for the budget. But this is just a blueprint. No actual money. In fact, dollars for the military may not even come until December, if then. So lots of House action as lawmakers fled D.C. for 5 weeks, but none of this is close to becoming law. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
The FBI announced an arrest in an operation linked to stealing crypto accounts through malicious video games. Fox's Eamon Dignam has a story.
21-year-old Zaire Wilkins of North Lauderdale, Florida, could face up to a decade in prison. That's according to a 15-page federal complaint. Authorities say between May 2024 and February 2026, Wilkins and his accomplices launched games and infected devices of roughly 8,000 people. This allegedly allowed them to access about 80 crypto wallets and steal at least $220,000. The complaint lists the malicious games as Pirate Fi, Block Blasters, Dashverse, and Lunara. Once a game was installed, agents said the malware harvested private data and login credentials to unlock those wallets. After the crypto was collected, it was laundered into gift cards. Investigators say Wilkins used the gamertag Cybel.eth on the messaging app Signal to coordinate with an unidentified primary developer. There, they allegedly discussed multiple draining campaigns and strategies for tricking victims into giving up their wallet details. This arrest appears to be the first charge linked to an investigation the FBI went public with back in March, when it asked gamers hit by a run of malicious Steam titles to come forward. Steam parent Valve has since pulled at least one of the games and is urging affected users to completely reformat their computers. We'll keep following this story on the Fox on Games podcast, wherever you download podcasts. In New York, Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
In other news here tonight, NASA astronaut Chris Williams and 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts returned to Earth. Following a 241-day mission, they orbited the Earth more than 3,800 times and traveled over 100 million miles. The spacecraft landed this morning local time in Kazakhstan. Williams will soon board a NASA aircraft to head back to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. All right, folks, still to come here on Fox 22 News at 10. It was a food truck extravaganza today in Bangor, all for a good cause. And later on, we'll explain why an unexpected visitor made an appearance at a Harmony cookie stand. Those stories, sports, weather, and the weekend review here on Fox 22 News at 10.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
Still getting glitched by cable internet? Enough already. Fidium is 100% fiber internet. Ultra reliable, lightning fast. So everything you do online works exactly like it should.
Zach, go to bed.
Fiber up to Fidium. Get plans starting at only $30 a month at fidiumfiber.com.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Brewers City swimming pool will likely stay closed for the rest of the season. That's the word from city officials who have been trying to figure out why the pool has been losing water. The pool was closed the other week when the staff realized the pool was leaking. The staff says it's unlikely to reopen this summer while they investigate the source of the leak and consider potential repairs. Well, earlier this past week, we brought you a story about a recovery and support organization in Bangor known as the Together Place that was closing the doors of their day center due to a funding shortfall of about $220,000. The day center provides many services, including 2 free meals a day, cooling and warming resources, peer support, and case management services for mental health and substance use issues. Well, what a couple days could make. One of the organization's leaders broke the news to our morning anchor, Craig Colson, that some help is on the horizon. Take a look.
Since the story came out a couple days ago, an anonymous donor has come forward and they have pledged $50,000 if we are able to raise the remaining $170,000 that we would need. And that should get us to long-term stability. And then hopefully some of these partnerships come through and we'll be right back on the right path.
And if you'd like to donate, go to togetherplace.org and look for the donate button at the top. In other news here tonight, for the past year, a Bangor congregation has been without a rabbi. As our Sam Miller reports, their new spiritual leader seeks to teach religion in a unique way.
Rabbi Daniel Alter joined Congregation Beth El earlier this month, taking the helm of the only Reformed synagogue in eastern Maine. Alter has been a rabbi for 10 years, including 9 as a rabbi educator. He had never been to Maine before he was hired at Beth El, and said it reminded him of his home in southeast Texas.
It wasn't a massive staff of professionals. It was people working together and volunteering and committing their time. And that resonance, that echo, really spoke to me. And so when they offered me the opportunity, I jumped up and down.
Alter previously served Temple Kol Hameth in Atlanta, Georgia, and Temple Beth Hameth in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He applied to numerous communities across the country. He says he accepted the job at Beth El because he wanted a role that would allow him to engage with the greater community.
The community is not merely Bangor. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours, and even more in every direction.
Alter says the community is thrilled to have a rabbi once again, and hopes to build upon the foundation that was left by rabbis in the past.
There's a lot of desire to get involved and to meet and to see what we can do together, to see what I can add to the community, that the community, which was thriving without a rabbi, can do with one, and see where I can add to and cultivate and grow and without replacing.
In Bangor, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, a Hancock County Sheriff's deputy who died in the line of duty has been formally memorialized in the town of Trenton. Luke Gross was killed while on scene at a motor vehicle crash back in 2021. Part of that road will now forever be a tribute to him. Our Sam Miller again has a story.
This is no longer just a road. Today, this officially becomes the Deputy Luke Gross Memorial Highway.
Around 10 a.m. Friday, people gathered on Route 3 in Trenton to dedicate a portion of the road to the late Luke Gross, a deputy of the Hancock County Sheriff's Department who was struck and killed by a pickup truck on September 23, 2021. The road was closed for 15 minutes as police officers, officials, friends, and family walked to the new signs and held an unveiling ceremony of the official Deputy Luke Gross Memorial Highway. Chris Thornton, a retired patrol lieutenant of the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, says the road is a permanent tribute to a man who gave everything for his community.
It's a tribute to his life, his service, and the sacrifice behind that sign.
The road received legislative approval to be designated in January of 2026. State Representative Billy Bob Falkingham says his hope was simple when he introduced the designation.
That the state of Maine would forever recognize a man whose life was defined by courage, integrity, and selfless service. Today, that hope becomes reality.
The sign was unveiled by Deputy Gross's children, Ryan and Alyssa. Lieutenant Dakota Dupuy of the Hancock County Sheriff's Department says they stay in contact with the family and highlighted how impactful a dedication like this is.
This is certainly another way to remember Luke and, again, remember his service and his sacrifice and the difference he had on the community. But his family continues to stay involved, and we still talk to them very often.
Route 3 will forever stand as a memorial for Deputy Luke Gross, a model officer and a loving father and husband. In Trenton, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, folks, after the break, the weekend review. What stories made the list? Find out next.
It's ladies' night. 1 out of 10 Americans got this question wrong. It was probably a dude.
The 1% Club, all new this Monday on Fox.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers Polydock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating Polydock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
Happy Endings in downtown Bangor. This is where a delicious dinner meets a great drink. From the first bite to the last, Happy Endings serves the kind of meal you don't rush. And behind the bar, smooth, crisp drinks made just right. Perfect for date night, a night out, or your new favorite stop downtown. Happy Endings, 32 Main Street, Bangor. Open 7 days a week. Follow us on Facebook for specials and events.
Welcome back and welcome into our weekend show segment, The Weekend Review. Where each Saturday and Sunday, we take suggestions to stories here at ABC 7 and Fox 22, ranging from breaking news to feel-good features that stood out to you during our weekday and air them in its entirety. First, a man with 3 prior operating under the influence convictions was back behind bars after allegedly driving into a young family during an event in Lincoln last weekend. Our Alex Schley reported on this story back on Monday.
Just before 3:30 Saturday afternoon, investigators say 57-year-old Carl Hartley drove onto the sidewalk during Lincoln's annual Loon Fest, striking 24-year-old Jasmine Drew and pinning her beneath his vehicle. Police say Hartley also hit Drew's 29-year-old boyfriend, a 5-year-old child, and a 3-month-old infant. They suffered non-life-threatening injuries. On Monday, Hartley appeared before a Penobscot County judge to face charges of aggravated operating under the influence and unlawful trafficking of scheduled drugs.
If not for the fact that a woman was pinned beneath the defendant's vehicle and an infant was almost run over, this would have been an ordinary OUI case, but it illustrates the fact that every OUI can end this way.
The judge also pointed out Hartley has an extensive criminal record which dates back to 1987.
By my count, this is also his 4th time in his life that he's been charged with OUI. At least the 4th time. There are 3 prior convictions for OUI that I'm aware of.
The judge set Hartley's bail at $10,000 cash or $30,000 as surety. While the criminal case moves forward, support for the Drew family continues to grow. A GoFundMe has raised more than $6,000 as of Monday night. Several local businesses have also pledged donations and set up fundraisers. For a full list of participating businesses, go to our website, foxbangor.com. In Penobscot County, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Next, following nearly a month of public criticism, Lincoln Town councilors passed a new budget Wednesday night with a decrease in cuts compared to their previous one. I spoke with a town councilor and Lincoln's fire chief about the new budget back on Thursday.
With a vote of 5-2, the Lincoln Town Council passed a revised budget, decreasing the amount of cuts from the previous budget from 15% to 5%.
We ended up with probably a rough way to get there, but a better solution than what we had when we started this whole process.
Last month, the council passed a controversial budget proposed by Councillor David Ireland that would have slashed funding to departments like public safety, sparking pushback from residents and a major divide amongst council members. The new revised budget passed on Wednesday night addresses these concerns.
It is a cut to the expenses to a certain extent, but without cutting so far as to cut personnel and services.
Lincoln's fire chief tells me the new budget isn't ideal, but it's better than what it was a month ago.
We've got the emergency staff we need to run the 911 calls and do our transfers, and that's our goal.
But he says it will affect their building maintenance and the purchasing of equipment in the near future.
Our budget this year is going to be going into maintenance of vehicles because they're old, point blank.
The new budget was brought forth by town manager Wade Schaefer, who recently put in his resignation, something the town is no stranger to, since they've seen 4 town managers in the past 7 months either resign, decline, or be fired from the position. But Street told us on Thursday that Schaefer will remain at his post until the town finds its new manager, despite previous indications that he would step aside following Wednesday night's town meeting.
The fact that he is willing to do that for us really says a lot about his dedication to our town.
In Lincoln, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Finally, a Bangor education center that specializes in NASA-inspired learning introduced new technology during summer camp. Our Sam Miller brought us the story back on Monday.
As part of its Robot Plus Plus summer camp, the Challenger Learning Center of Maine introduced campers to new educational drones that will amplify hands-on learning in STEM education. The drone program explores the growing field of drone technology and its connection to space exploration, and campers learn the fundamentals of flight, engineering, and problem solving. The center held a time trial where campers flew drones through an obstacle course and documented their times by writing down their results and placing them on a graph. Center Executive Director Kristen Hibbard says she's been amazed by the attitudes of the kids and highlighted their efforts to step out of their comfort zone.
With a great attitude, if you're new to STEM, you could conquer anything. And then they have built and created amazing things. We just help give them the tools and opportunities to do those. And it's everything from they've built Mars habitats with whole systems to support life on the surface of Mars, to they've even built what we call Kane's Arcade. They've built arcade, a whole arcade from scratch in one day. Wow. And so it's just amazing fun things are happening here this summer.
Throughout the week, students will learn to code and program the drones to autonomously fly using built-in commands. On top of the drone, students are working in pairs and building complex robots using LEGO Education spike sets. 5th grader Lauren Pelletier returned for her second year at the camp and described her favorite parts of coming back.
Just all the activities, because they're really fun, because we do like different activities and get to like learn about like outer space and engineering.
The drones will soon become part of additional after-school programs and other educational events throughout the year. In Bangor, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And as the Weekend Review segment continues, we'd like you at home to be a part of it. Didn't see a story you thought should have been included? Well, then email us throughout the week at weekendreview@wvii.com for what stories during the past week made an impact or stood out to you. Tune in again next Saturday night here on Fox 22 News at 10 for a new slate of local stories. All right, folks, Devin Biggs is in next with your full 5-day forecast. So stay right. Be right back.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. Our Stable Lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontes, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
Bogies offers a different kind of night out in Bangor, blending a full restaurant with sports simulators, axe throwing, and live music. We have something for everyone. Bogies, a new way to play.
Quiz football. Release the ball. Let's get it on. It's Cash or Splash.
Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox.
Alrighty, here we go. Wave height's not looking too bad this evening at around 2 to 3 feet according to the buoys, while further off towards the north and east continuing to remain calm, so no issues with the advisories at all either. We're pretty calm on land and over sea, while further out towards sea, we're at around 4 to 5 feet according toward those buoys. And in fact, as we check things out, middle 60s right now for the current water temperature. As you look farther out, we're in the upper 50s here, upper 60s right there, and in fact, look at that, even lower 70s further down toward the south. And in fact, as we check things out, you have to look further off towards the north and west for any kind of showers and thunderstorms that are developing. Not a whole lot of movement with those showers and storms either, but over us and most of the state, we're actually pretty quiet right now, and in fact, we are going to stay quiet tonight. Any clouds we're seeing will be getting out of here. We'll be under a mostly clear sky overnight, and we have another nice day or two before things start to change. But for now, again, most of the country seeing a little bit of activity. But again, for us, we're pretty lucky as things remain calm. So futurecast moving forward, again, staying quiet out there with a mostly clear sky as we head towards your Monday, a beautiful one. A little bit of activity to the north and west, but as for us to the south and east, staying nice and quiet. And in fact, Monday night still looking nice and quiet as well. And Tuesday still remaining calm as well. We'll have to wait till about late Wednesday before the activity starts to move in. All right, UV index forecast for tomorrow is going to be at an 8. That's very high. That means a burn time is simply 15 minutes. So you'll want a hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, or shade handy to avoid a bad sunburn tomorrow as you do venture outside. Now let's check out your muggy meter. It's going to be humid for a little bit later on into the week. So as for your Monday and a little bit into Tuesday too, it's not going to be too terrible. But starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it is going to get humid again with dew points back into the lower to middle 60s coming up. All right, so high temperatures today, not too bad. We were in the 70s and even some 80s out there, and your temperatures are going to be rather warm coming up in the middle 80s today and tomorrow, then 70s Wednesday and Thursday. Then we start to rise again into the upper 70s to even some lower 80s. So your forecast coming up for tonight, mostly clear with lows in the upper 40s and the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then for you tomorrow, the new week's here, middle 80s, mostly sunny and a southeast breeze at about 5 miles per hour. Checking out your extended forecast, mostly sunny Tuesday with highs in the mid 80s. Afternoon thunderstorms Wednesday with highs dropping into the mid 70s. More storms Thursday, highs in the mid 70s as well. Back in the upper 70s Friday, another chance for showers and thunderstorms.
Something to keep an eye out for. Devin, thank you for that report. Well, folks, the Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony was held earlier today. And even though no Boston Red Sox greats made their way into the Hall today, the current Sox team continued their Hall of Fame winning ways today at Fenway Park against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Sox kept tacking on runs in this one, including this Jarren Duran liner that would score 2. He finished the game 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. The Red Sox would win 6-1, their 6th consecutive series win, keeping them in second place in the AL wildcard standings. Boston plays again tomorrow night on the road against the Athletics. All right, folks, with that in mind, sports is next with Max Sturm, so stay right here. We'll be right back.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer.
And some call me the King.
There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
Something stinks, and I'm not just talking about the food.
I don't want to give up.
We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine women's basketball team is back to work in Orono, and with every new season comes new faces. And the vets on this Black Bears team are doing their part to welcome them to the team. The Black Bears were fortunate enough to return 10 players from last year's America East runner-up team, but there are still plenty of new faces that will don the blue and black for the first time. The team's veterans are doing what they can both on and off the court to help the newbies get acclimated with the team.
Yeah, I'm just kind of encouraging them to just kind of focus, listen to what the coach is saying, watch the upperclassmen, what they do, and kind of follow along, make sure they're using the voice, talk, and just really kind of pay attention and focus on the new things and kind of just like pick up key things that the coaches are saying.
Right now we're like living with them, with the freshmen, like in the dorms. So we will like always like welcome them with us, like even though we're like being like they're for like sophomores that we're together with like all the year, but we try to like make them then like come with us.
Head coach Amy Vachon is extremely grateful for her returners and how they have already made the new members of the team feel welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think our team, our program does a great job with that. You know, the upperclassmen, take them under their wings and let them know what the expectations are and what we expect, what the standards are. And so they just do a really nice job with it. We're really fortunate to have just amazing humans on our team.
Football fans rejoice. The defending AFC champion New England Patriots have kicked off training camp on Saturday morning at Gillette. The football season unofficially begins today for the Patriots and their fans as the team will return to the field for the start of training camp. They will take to the grass behind Gillette Stadium where they will start to evaluate the talent they have ahead of the season. The roster will be eventually cut down to 53 players before week 1. The Pats are coming off of a Cinderella season that saw them win 14 games during the regular season and 3 more in the postseason that unfortunately ended in a tough Super Bowl loss to Seattle. However, the Pats know the road to the promised land and are anxious to find their way back.
So we kind of got back here, we were able to kind of get to work on the next, this year and what's ahead. And I think we're all excited for just this year and not really worried about last year.
Everybody's undefeated. That's what I tell our fans when they ask how's the team look. It looks undefeated, just like every other team in the National Football League.
For those interested, access to training camp is completely free. Everything from parking to admission. So if you got the time, go see Jake and the guys get some work in. Banana Ball was back at Hadlock Field in Portland. The Loco Beach Coconuts and the Texas Tailgaters squared off this weekend. Now, a lot has changed since the Savannah Bananas were here in Portland back in the summer of 2023. There are now 6 independent professional teams competing under the Banana Ball umbrella. It's a fast-paced, fun-filled 2-hour game of baseball that featured surprise guest players, plenty of laughs, and of course, a high-quality brand of baseball. Tailgaters second baseman Jonathan Lauders bats first and wears number 1, but the name on the back of his jersey is Sunshine, and for good reason. He loves playing the game and hitting the baseball while on a unicycle.
Yes, I hit a baseball on the unicycle. It's been a lot of fun. It's been since 4th grade since I can ride the unicycle. My 4th grade gym teacher, Miss Robertson, shout out to her, she'll be at the game here tomorrow, taught me how to ride a unicycle in before school unicycle class of all things. Then I learned how to hit on it more recently, and then here we are.
What a fun league that is. It's definitely something I want to catch the next time they're up here in Maine, whenever that may be. All right, to close out our sports block, get ready for this. Red Sox high A prospect Justin Gonzalez of the Greenville Drive smacked a home run in their game versus the Hub City Spartanburgers, and when he came around the bases, it went down. Just watch.
Now backpedals out. And a high drive, deep left field. This ball is gone. And Justin Gonzalez unloads another one. His 13th home.
Started, I asked Jordan Caskey if he thought 10 runs would be enough to win this one. We got a little dust up going.
Yeah, look out. Gonzalez threw a punch, and Gonzalez, he hit that ball out of here, and he admired it and took the slow trot around.
Those fans definitely got what they paid for and more with that action there. Right now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Stay in the state of connection. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $750 customer cash in the purchase of a new 2026 Sportage.
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
This summer, the pages come alive at the Newport Riverwalk Festival. This year's theme is books, so bring your imagination to life inspired by your favorite stories. Decorate your bike or parade float around your favorite book characters and worlds. Think you got talent? Step into the spotlight during the talent show for your chance to win a cash prize. Enjoy music, food, and activities for all ages at Newport's favorite summer tradition, the Newport Riverwalk Festival, where creativity and community come together.
Hey Red Sox fans, you've got to play You Pick 'em Red Sox at foxbangor.com. Local weekly winners receive prizes from Chase's Family Restaurant in Bangor or from Chick-fil-A. Register now at foxbangor.com. You Pick 'em Red Sox is sponsored by Seasons Grill and Lounge on Main Street in Bangor, Twin City Tile, State Street in Brewer, and Bogies on Stillwater Avenue in Bangor.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontis, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
Whoever said fork in the road must have been hungry. Hungry for the Sorrento and the capability that keeps going. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $3,000 customer cash on the purchase of a new 2026 Sorrento.
You may kiss the bride.
A wedding reception crisis could have Gordon leaving them all at the altar.
I need to chill.
MasterChef, all new Wednesday on Fox.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Well, for those who don't know, Maine supplies 90% of the country's wild blueberries. And next weekend, local farms and businesses will give people an opportunity to experience one of the state's prominent industries. August 1st and 2nd will be the 6th annual Wild Blueberry Weekend in Maine. Farms will offer tours and demonstrations, and businesses will sell specialty food and drinks all through the weekend. According to the Wild Blueberry Commission of Maine, this year is the International Year of the Female Farmer.
The importance to a lot of these families. Some of them are 6th generation or 9th generation, and they pass the farm on to their children, their children's children, and a lot of them are run by females.
Governor Janet Mills' ceremonial first rake will be taking place this week as well. To learn more about supporting local farms and businesses, visit wildblueberryweekend.com. Tasty Eats for a Good Cause. That was the scene at the food truck extravaganza in Bangor earlier today. Hosted by the Furniture Gallery, the gathering brought together a wide variety of local food truck vendors for the third event of the season. A portion of the proceeds are benefiting the Bangor Humane Society. Volunteers say the money will go towards supplying food and other necessities for the animals.
There's a lot of animals. There's a lot of animals, and a lot of them eat a lot of food. So it's really important.
The Bangor Humane Society is also gearing up for some major fundraising events, including the Paws on the Green golf tournament on August 9th and Paws on Parade, which returns this October. And finally here tonight, Cookie Jar of Maine has taken off in popularity recently, but on Thursday, the local business got an unexpected visitor. Here's that story.
What started out as a hobby for Laura Pomerleau has turned into a sweet occupation.
I took the chance, and I guess I made the right decision.
3 years ago, she began selling her homemade cookies at the end of her Harmony driveway, not knowing that her stand would stand out.
And then the word spread.
Her business, Cookie Jar of Maine, has grown in size and popularity, with 17 locations and plenty more eager customers.
I'm a baker myself, but not like that.
She credits this to the price.
$4 each or 3 for $10. I haven't changed my price since the day I started.
This viral video.
Welcome to the Cookie Jar of Maine roadside stand.
And the cookie itself.
Almost a half a pound, so they stand out.
Her secret recipe has brought a lot of hands into the cookie jar. Even one of America's well-known uncles.
Uncle Sam, I did. Someone in an SUV pulled up, and I'm like, he's got a suit and tie on. And then I'm like, oh my God, he's got a gun.
On Thursday, the Maine Revenue Service served Pomerleau a cease and desist notice for failing to have a seller's registration certificate. Or in other words, failing to provide a sales tax on items sold from her Harmony stand.
I was so sad to think that, oh my God, cease and stop selling. No, we're going there tomorrow. You can't stop selling today.
But thankfully for her and the other Cookie Jar supporters, Pomerleau says after a 30-minute chat with Uncle Sam and the establishment of a payment arrangement, it's back to business as usual, providing a homemade confection, connecting strangers in Harmony.
I've said from the beginning I'm going to keep my price the same as long as I can. I can pay the sales tax out of what I'm charging right now. Nothing's going to change. We're going to keep selling cookies here.
And restocking them too.
I want to be able to give people a good deal. I want everybody to be able to afford it.
In Harmony, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And that is all we have for tonight. I'm Doug Banks, and from everyone here at Fox 22 News at 10, thank you for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, and hopefully you are too. Until then, take care and good night.
How many times has something broke down, but the right size tool is nowhere to be found? What you need is Red Dog, the amazing universal socket tool that fits, grips, and tightens virtually any fastener. And now may be your last chance to get one before they're gone. Look at all the different sizes and shapes, nuts, bolts, and screws. Any head will do. Red Dog grabs on tight and locks into place fast. It replaces hundreds of different tools tools, yet it's smaller than a battery. 54 telescoping steel pins mold around any object. Then, up to 150 pounds of torque knock out rusted fasteners. Attach the deluxe drill adapter and drive screws into concrete with ease. Don't let a stubborn project ruin your day. Red Dog grabs on tight. Plus, it tackles odd jobs with precision and speed. No more heavy toolboxes or guessing which size to use. With Red Dog, you'll never search or guess which tool to use again. Look, you could use a ton of different tools for this project, but we did it fast and easy with just one Red Dog. Amazing! You could spend over $100 for a socket set, or you can get the incredible Red Dog for just $19.99. But wait, there's breaking news. Red Dog may be discontinued. Due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, Red Dog is stopping manufacturing immediately. There's a strict limit of 3 per order while supplies last. You still have time to get your very own Red Dog, but you must act fast. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. The amazing Red Dog. Order now.
Call 1-800-709-0494. That's 1-800-709-0494. Or visit byreddog.com. So call 1-800-709-0494. Order now.
Welcome to the show that nobody wants to win.
What did the itsy bitsy spider climb up?
You're watching Fox 22 Bangor.